court-certified wife-beater Johnny Depp is planning his comeback. And yes, a judge determined he could legally be called that.
None other than Johnny Depp is back in the news cycle, and I'm not mad about it. But the libs sure are. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. It does genuinely feel like hell right now here in Texas. It is too hot, and I don't like it. And I hear apparently it gets even hotter in Arizona. Are you guys okay? Are you coping? I do not remember it being this hot in Australia when I was growing up. Maybe that's because I'm from Melbourne. Maybe this is a Melbourne thing. Anyway, everybody, please post me ice blocks, and if you hear me peeling off of my chair today, you know why. Now, as you all know, we typically talk about some very sad stories here on our Hell Gondola, but today I bring you a tale of triumph. Sort of. If nothing else, this is a story that has certainly made progressives really mad. Because as it turns out, much to the chagrin of feminists and activists, actor Johnny Depp has recently returned from exile. If you aren't familiar with said exile, Johnny Depp was under fire for years after being accused of DV by his ex-wife Amber Heard. The drama surrounding that was, I guess, more or less concluded in 2022, but more on that later. At first, his return to the spotlight started quietly. In 2025, he appeared in this new ad for his long-standing partner Dior, and as also a total aside, Depp has actually been the face of this same Dior cologne for a while now, and he was featured in a similar ad about 4 years ago. Dior is apparently a very ride-or-die brand. Apparently they're one of the only ones, maybe even the only one, that didn't drop Johnny Depp when all of his legal trouble started. I like you, but it's too hot for you. So, you know, I guess that's good information if you need a new perfume or something.
In the wild, everything is always in front of you.
That was legitness.
Yeah, it was.
But within the last few weeks, in late July 2026, it was announced that Depp would star in a new major film, Ebenezer, which is a twist on the Charles Dickens story, A Christmas Carol, and will presumably give Ebenezer Scrooge a backstory. If you don't know who these things are and what these things are, the internet is free. Sort of, not really. The trailer for this movie first premiered at Comic-Con before being released online, where it subsequently caused a massive stir. Following this, outlets reported that Sopranos star Steven Van Zandt wants to cast Depp in his newly written show that is about stuff and things. And in only the last few days, producer Jerry Bruckheimer said that he was in talks with Depp about returning to the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
We're talking to Johnny, we're working on a screenplay, and hopefully we can get this done.
Which, you know, don't get me wrong, I do think that the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise is pretty fun. You know, they produce some really good flicks, but I'm thinking maybe we just set that aside and make something new!
Where's the rum gone?
Ah, sticky. So sticky. Now, baby birds, as you can imagine, this has absolutely upset many of our friends over on Progressive Island, because Johnny Depp is not allowed to make a comeback in Hollywood, nor is he allowed any level of success, according to these people. But what I find really interesting, and actually now that I'm saying it, I don't know why I find it interesting, this is basically every issue that is split down the middle, but this one's no different. It's really interesting to me how there's quite a large schism between people who like Johnny Depp and are excited for him to be back and want to see him do great things, and other people who think that he should be thrown off a waterfall with lots of sharp, pointy rocks at the bottom to break his fall.
You guys, they're finally doing it. Hollywood is finally making what we've been begging them to make for years. A Christmas Carol prequel Ebenezer Scrooge origin story starring the decaying corpse of a court-certified wife-beating Nazi.
These women really need some new material.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
In the comments on the Ebenezer YouTube trailer, just for example, viewers seem really happy that Johnny Depp is back, with a lot of them saying things like, you know, they never bought into the false allegations that were levied against him, that they love his acting, that they've always supported him all this time. The trailer itself has also gained 20 million views since it was released, which I think is notable because other trailers on this same YouTube channel just don't perform as well. So I think there's a lot of interest here. Which, you know, I get. I don't blame people for being excited and interested. Personally, I just hope that this film gets all of the sound mixing right so I can actually hear what dialogue is is being spoken over the music. Because there is nothing worse than bad audio, not only in the cinema, but also in your home, which is why it's really important to get yourself a great pair of earbuds, and you can, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. So annoying. My headphones just broke. Yeah, that definitely sucks, but you know what? I'm just having a thought. On the bright side, I could be your headphones. How would you be my headphones? Oh God. Like your face. Please stop. So please tell me that you like my face as well. I wonder if Raycon has anything new. Oh, come on. I'm a great singer. In your own head. Sure, but I need headphones for things other than music too. Look, Raycon has these new everyday clip earbuds. These look incredibly cool. The open design makes it easier to stay aware of your surroundings while listening to music or a podcast or whatever else I have playing. They are also lightweight, which is a plus, and they don't pinch your ear even after wearing them for a long time. These are actually incredibly comfortable. I am a big fan. I get extremely annoyed when earbuds fall out of my ears, and many other brands do. So these days, I use my Raycons basically all the time for most things, especially when I go to the gym. But now I exclusively use them when I go on runs because I want to run a marathon, okay? Don't judge me, thank you very much. And I like that these don't flop around when I'm at speed. They feel comfortable, they feel secure, and I like that I can actually hear cars, you know, as to not get murdered by one. Oh, and just by the way, these don't get in the way of glasses or hats. They are also water resistant, and they have a 30-hour battery life, which I like because I noticed that these last for so much longer than other headphones I've used in the past, and I genuinely feel like I don't actually ever really have to charge them that regularly, which is really cool because I'm forgetful like that. Oh, Sydney, you're not being very nice to me. Place order. Raycon's everyday clip earbuds are the perfect back-to-school companion. So click the link in the description, scan the QR code on screen, or go to buyraycon.com/SydneyWatsonClip and get 20% off your order. Once again, that's 20% off the everyday clip earbuds using my link or my QR code, and massive thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. People also seemed really happy to see Depp during his recent appearances, like this one that is on screen if you are not able to watch, where he appeared at Comic-Con as Ebenezer Scrooge and then interacted with fans.
Mr. Scrooge!
Mr. Scrooge!
Elton John!
Merry Christmas!
In this video, there are some nice moments because the fans are all basically cosplaying Depp characters while Depp is cosplaying as Scrooge, sort of like, you know, cosplay Inception.
How often do you go to the WC? The toilet, the pee-pee house.
As much as needed.
Terribly sorry for your accident. Why?
I beg your pardon.
What is your name, sir?
Yeah.
Jack. Prove it.
Even actor Ian McKellen, who is best known to me at least for playing Gandalf, recently sang Johnny Depp's praises when asked about working together.
I can tell you he's in spankingly good form. Effervescent, funny, irreverent, serious, all at the same time. And it was a bit of a love fest, really. I fell in love with him, really. He's very obliging to his fellow actors. Wonderful feeling on the set, when of course he's always the centre of it all. So that was a treat, yes.
I confess that I don't know a lot about Gandalf, but he seems delightful. But that doesn't mean by any stretch of the imagination that everybody is reacting this way to Johnny Depp's return. No, as you can expect, the commentary online, particularly from those on the progressive side of things, has been less excitement and more... you know, just completely normal stuff. Unsurprisingly, people are chastising the upcoming film cast and crew for even working with Depp, suggesting that his comeback after his court case with Amber Heard is a travesty that condones bashing women. Several articles have dropped railing about this, like this piece that argues that Johnny Depp's comeback means that Me Too is truly dead. Okay. This Guardian article basically argues that Johnny Depp is an abuser and therefore shouldn't be allowed to come back at all. So it seems that these people would much rather Johnny Depp be thrown into a vat of boiling oil rather than make a comeback in Hollywood. And from what I'm seeing, apparently him being anywhere near a film or show means that women are at risk, and Me Too has truly died. Oh no. And the responses that I've seen online so far have been less than hinged. This one woman on TikTok says that she will be boycotting the new Ebenezer film because Johnny Depp is an abusive man. But more than that, she's mad at anyone and everyone working with him.
Johnny Depp is a wife beater, and for that reason I will not be seeing this godforsaken film. I'm finding myself pretty disgusted with Johnny Depp's little comeback tour and all of the actors and producers who elected to work with a wife beater to enable the continued laundering of his public image.
I'm not gonna lie, guys, while sifting through some of these videos of people expressing their deep hatred for Depp, I noticed some commonalities.
Look, I get it. The people yearn for a kooky genius that they can follow through the press and through his filmography and say, oh my God, what an actor. We never even knew what we had during the time. He's a chameleon. He can transform, and he's so silly in his interviews. You don't need Johnny Depp.
What is even happening here? Another very hinged woman said that she'll block people on site for expressing excitement about Ebenezer. Rightio then.
If you're in those comment sections and you're like, he's back! Oh my gosh! Johnny Depp! We love him! Or if you are the man who was commenting on every single woman's comment, being like, when they would say, he is a convicted, domestic violence man, I can't. And you're the man responding back being like, actually, in the court of law, he was not found guilty. In the UK one, it was actually a civil liability case. I have blocked you, and if I see more, I will be blocking you. Thank you. This is my service announcement. Thank you.
So, safe to say our left-wing friends aren't taking this well. Of course, there are other people who are going off claiming that Depp is a bad actor who lacks range and complaining that Ebenezer will just be another boring reiteration of the same story. This guy also seems to think that Johnny Depp wrote the film for some reason.
Well, I thought, what do audiences want to see in the year 2026? They want to see Scrooge. Yeah, from the classic Nightmare Before Christmas. It's the one where he goes and he has a nightmare before Christmas. Yeah, that's the story I want to tell.
You do understand that the primary actor is typically not the person who wrote the screenplay, right? Are you okay? Anyway, the very intense reaction here stems from Depp's very public divorce and 2 defamation lawsuits, one that concerned the Sun newspaper in the UK and the other that concerned his ex-wife, actress Amber Heard. Many of the articles that I have referenced and many of the TikTokers that I've shown you, along with lots of other people, continually make the assertion that Johnny Depp was found guilty and convicted of DV in a court of law in the UK, and that simply isn't true, but we'll come back to that. For those who don't know or who have completely blocked it out, and honestly if you have, I don't blame you, in 2016, shortly after filing for divorce, Amber Heard also filed a restraining order against Depp. In a series of sworn statements, Heard alleged all sorts of physical and emotional harm perpetrated during her marriage. Depp obviously denied these claims. But in 2018, a British tabloid outlet called The Sun published an article that called Johnny Depp a wife beater in big bold letters in a headline. Depp sued the media outlet for libel, but ultimately lost. I will note, because I think it's important, and I think accuracy is important, that UK defamation laws and US defamation laws are different, and this case took place in the United Kingdom. I also think it's important to understand that some people have said that the judge in the UK case had a bias and also had a conflict of interest and should have recused himself. I've seen that a little bit. But also, I think it's important to understand what the judge ruled in this case, what that means, and how it overall applies to all of this, because this is the biggest thing that Johnny Depp detractors use to get at him. In 2020, when Johnny Depp sued The Sun, this was a civil trial, and I think revolved more around free speech than anything else. No one was charged with a crime. There was no jury deciding guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, but a single judge instead who was balancing probabilities. Under UK law, once Depp sued, the newspaper had to prove its words were quote-unquote substantially true on the balance of probabilities, basically meaning that it was more likely than not that some of the alleged incidents happened. A single judge looked at the evidence, decided 12 of the 14 claims met that lower civil standard, and ruled the paper's defense succeeded. That protected the newspaper's right to publish, but it does not make and did not make Depp a convicted wife-beater. It was never a criminal finding, and as many of you probably know at this point, a jury here in the United States heard a very similar case between Depp and Amber Heard and reached a very different conclusion. The opposite conclusion, if you will. And that case stems from a 2019 op-ed that Amber Heard wrote about her experience as a DV survivor. Although she never actually named Depp directly, it was pretty clear to whom she was referring in her piece. Because of these allegations, Depp was asked to resign from the Fantastic Beasts franchise, where he played Grindelwald. He lost out on a $22 million deal for another installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, like to make the next movie, I guess. And this was the basis for Depp's $50 million defamation lawsuit against Heard. The trial was absolutely wild. There was an avalanche of just insane moments, insane testimony. So many things happened that were just, it was like, what is going on here? That I'm not going to rehash with you at the moment because there's a lot to get through. And also, most of you were there watching along. And if you weren't, Google exists.
Sean Bailey, who was the number 3.
Objection, hearsay. I don't know yet. I'll overrule it at this point.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just basically said in the...
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor,
Sean Bailey
this is about him
It's in
learning
an
about this.
article.
It's not for the...
saying that...
Objection, hearsay.
But during this trial, we saw quite a different picture than what Heard had initially described, more so resembling a mutually toxic relationship than anything else, with instances where Heard was also partaking in volatile and violent behavior. Depp ultimately won this defamation lawsuit against Heard, and it's important to note this was a jury trial with higher standards, just to be really clear. Heard was also ordered to pay many millions of dollars to Depp, and after this, she sort of, slinked away to Spain to basically never be heard from again. But contrary to popular belief, Depp didn't walk away from this situation scot-free. Obviously, as we know, he was iced out of Hollywood, he lost career opportunities, he lost money, but he also lost several close friends as well. And look, I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again, we do not know what took place in this relationship between these two people. Johnny Depp has clearly had his issues over the years, but so has Amber Heard, and although she tried to make this seem sort of unilateral in one direction, it's very evident that she had her part to play in the events that were taking place. Amber Heard has a history of perpetrating DV herself and was equally culpable in violence and violent behavior. Of course, this doesn't make it right or defensible, but it also doesn't mean that Johnny Depp is a wife beater, and many of those in his corner, including former long-term partners of his, asserted this. This reality, of course, really put a wrench in progressives using this case as a Me Too movement booster, which is why they maintain that Johnny Depp is an evil, abusive person rather than ever conceding that perhaps this isn't so cut and dry. But after all the drama and Johnny Depp's life and his career and his everything falling to ruin, the allegations continued to follow him, people continued to beat him up with this, and it has basically been a huge part of his life, it seems, for the last number of years. In 2023, he acted in a French-language historical drama which played at the Cannes Film Festival, and even then, feminist groups and more than 100 French actors spoke out, saying that Depp's participation was a reflection of the French establishment protecting men who've abused women. It was actually here that he answered some questions about his comeback in Hollywood, where he basically said that he never really left. It was more a matter of the fact that people just stopped calling him.
I've had about 17 comebacks, apparently. I keep wondering about the word comeback because I didn't go anywhere. As a matter of fact, I live about 45 minutes away. Maybe people stopped calling out of whatever their fear was at the time. But no, I didn't go nowhere. I've been sitting around.
As As another total aside, apparently Amber Heard weighed in recently by proxy about all of this. One of these tabloid outlets interviewed a friend of hers who said that Amber is beyond infuriated by Depp's comeback. In this article, she apparently told her friend that Hollywood's hypocrisy sickens her, which, to be totally fair, is a totally fair thing to say. But she also resents that Depp is back to being a studio darling and getting tons of praise and money is being thrown at him, which I don't know if that's entirely accurate. The guy is, you know, he's got a couple opportunities potentially coming down the pipeline, but his life has been seemingly pretty hard, lady. So, you know, the rest of you just do with this what you will. Anyway, I have to admit that I do always hate talking about these kind of situations, the one between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, because we don't know what happened. We don't know what their relationship is like, but I do think, based on many of the things that have been done and said, Amber Heard is probably not a nice person. That's definitely what I have picked up from everything I've ever read about her and seen about her. And I don't know what the level of culpability was when it comes to Johnny Depp's actions during their relationship, and I don't even want to comment or speculate on that. But I do think, and this has always occurred to me, a person who couldn't substantiate their position probably wouldn't go to court. You probably wouldn't go and fight a tabloid or sue your ex-wife for slandering you if you didn't think that you had a reasonable amount of evidence that could back up your position to disprove that. So with all of that being said, I do think that Johnny Depp was probably mistreated in Hollywood and iced out unfairly in Hollywood. I am certain there are people that walk among all of those mutants who are infinitely worse than Johnny Depp and have done infinitely worse things. I think he was probably a bit of a scapegoat at the time, considering how aggressive Me Too was during that period, and that if any accusation was levied against a man in this respect, the likelihood was that his life would come crashing down. There wouldn't be really any meaningful, I guess, dialogue about if he was guilty or not. People just automatically assumed that what was being said was true and that he was a perpetrator of whatever the case may be. Now that Me Too has more or less fallen by the wayside, it's safe to bring Johnny Depp back. And, you know, although I'm happy to see him back in films and shows and whatever, because I do think he's a really good actor and I've enjoyed him in a lot of things, it does make me sad that this is the state of play. On a positive note, however, you'll have a fun new film to enjoy him in come Thanksgiving time, and probably other films that he'll pop up in as time wears on. In the end, I do think it's really satisfying watching an underdog make a comeback or claw their way back to the top after being knocked down and hurt time and time again. And so I think in the case of Johnny Depp, that's what we're seeing here, and that's probably why it's so satisfying. I have no idea how to finish out this video other than to say, for you nerds and fans, you're gonna have a new film to watch really soon, and I am happy for you for that. So there is that. Now on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder, check out Raycon using the link in the description if you are going back to school or you just need a new pair of headphones and you want some earbuds or the little clippy boys that you can get that I really like. I've been using them a ton on my runs. Absolutely check Raycon out. They are a very, very good option if you don't want to spend a bajillion dollars. Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? What do you all make of this situation? Are you looking forward to Ebenezer coming out? Are you going to see it? Are you not that excited, but you're happy for Johnny Depp? Do you think that Johnny Depp coming back to Hollywood really does signal the downfall of the Me Too movement? Do you think that's a fair statement? Is that a crazy statement? What do you make of the people online who are kicking off about him coming back to the spotlight? Do you think that there's any truth to what they're saying? Is it fair? Is it unfair? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you have made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here, you're not subscribed already, and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as leaving this video a like and a comment, because I do read the majority of them and I like hearing your feedback. Like I always say, my wonderful little chickadee people, I hope you stay safe and well and make tremendously good choices, do good things, have a tremendous night or day or whatever time it is for you, and I will see your beautiful little faces in the next video.